Now, there may be some tough times here in America, but this country's gone through tough times before, and we're going to do it again.
Cast Iron Brains, a podcast. It's just baseball. It's nothing else. Just baseball and Trump. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I made bread now.
Lori made bread now. Tonight is Monday, March 10th, 2025. Happy Mario Day for those who celebrate. It's the fucking day after daylight savings time.
Nice.
Dealing with that bullshit once again. So we're going to knock off early tonight. No extended conversations, unplanned, that we weren't going to have. Got to go to bed early. Fucking tired. None of that. Abe, surely you have some anecdotes about your time out at the concert. Some fellow that you talked to, some lady alone in the corner that needed a kind word?
I did go to the concert over the weekend, but the next day on Saturday, it was the most I watched sports since football season because there was all these like I don't know, watch college basketball until like March Madness. And I was like, oh, let's see what's going on in the world of college basketball. And so I went to the local watering hole to watch. There was a big Alabama-Auburn game, and Georgia apparently is down in the dance. So there's like interesting games to watch.
How do we determine Georgia is dancing already? Is it,
I mean, there's got like an 80% chance they beat Vanderbilt over the weekend. They should get in based on the formulations. Are
these SEC championship tournament games that you were watching, or are these just the end of season games? It was
the last of the regular season. The tournament kicks off like later this week. But I'm at this bar, a sports bar, watching, and there's this very like loud and boisterous guy seated next to me, and he's just very chummy with everybody. Hey, where are you from? What's going on? My name is so and so. Just like, all right, guy. But I humor him, and he's from Houston. He's visiting for the weekend or something. So I was like, oh, good.
Big Texas-sized personality. It sounds like.
And for some reason, he sussed out some sort of accent on my part. Like, hey, where are you originally from?
It's the accent. Yeah. That's what did it. You don't sound like you're from around here, buddy.
And I was like,
he looks just black, which if you're in Atlanta, you should expect that. But you hear him talk, and you're like, he's foreign.
And the guy is black himself, the other guy, the Houston man. And I tell him Somalia, right? And for some reason, he starts talking about Cape Town. And I'm like, okay, well, something got lost in translation.
Lesson here.
And then I just roll with it. Sometimes like, all right, fine, whatever. Yeah, Cape Town.
Because, to some people, Africa's African,
yes,
right?
I was like, Cape Town is nice, I hear. My brother visited not too long ago.
Oh, to be fair, if you start talking about Mogadishu, it's not like you could shoot the shit about all the time you spent downtown.
Good point. So I just let him go with it. Anyways, this guy is just spending as if he has plenty of money, right? Not like noteworthy, but he's just buying shots and he's just, being chummy, and then his card is declined.
Oh dear!
And the guy, the bartender, was like, I don't know, buddy, I don't know what to tell you. It was declined. He's like, there's no way, run it again. There's always this argument, and so the guy runs it again, and then he's like, give me a second. He called somebody, and I'm thinking, he gives the appearance that he's calling the bank to sort out this mess.
He's calling
a friend to wire him. But to me, I was thinking, why are you so cavalier with the spending when you are running this very tight operation here? You're basically by the skin of your teeth surviving.
Fucking figure it out as you go, man. Who cares?
And at least have a credit card and be in debt like those other people. But
I hope it's not the same credit card he's got on file with the hotel. He's from Houston, or the Airbnb or wherever he's staying.
It was just weird. He was very loud for a long time, and then when the card declined, very quiet the rest of the day. Just the next hour or so before I left, very quiet.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could get away with okay, I'm going to step outside and place this phone call and get this all sorted out. and you just fucking go. Right?
I did not. He actually stepped aside to sort out the talking, whoever he had to plead for the money. But I was like, he took all his stuff. Like, it's not like he like left his hat or whatever.
I don't think I would trust that if I were
But
that
the bartender was
about
just
to
like,
get.
What can you do?
Yeah.
Hold him there?
I don't know, but you can't get stuck for fucking $250 or whatever this guy's tab is.
It wasn't that, but it was like around 100, just based on the looks of it. But he did come back eventually. Somebody must have like, all right, guy, this is the last time I'm gonna front you this money. Just don't fuck me again.
I bet he tips real well. That was not a racism, by the way. I realized after it was out of my mouth that could be construed as a racism.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was not a racism. That was a comment on the men's profligacy, despite the apparent.
It was classism.
Poverty underneath it all.
that is some.
Not. I can't say poverty, but like, it's not being smart with this situation there.
Yeah, but you gotta have a little, wiggle room when you're traveling. You can't just like this. What if like his rental car got booted or whatever? Like, you need to have a little extra money in case something goes wrong.
Yeah. Also, who's only got the one card and it's getting declined?
That's
I guess
true.
it's the kind of guy.
Pores.
I guess it's the kind of guy who finds himself in this sort of situation.
Also, who are you trying to impress? None of the guys that were there, like there were a bunch of Auburn and Alabama people there because they're watching this game, and apparently they're basketball fans all of a sudden because their teams are good. Nobody cared about this guy's like extra shot of Jameson or whatever. It's like, what? Like, I don't understand what the need for the showmanship.
Although now I think about it, the run it again thing, like maybe it is like, well, literally the buddy owes me $40 and the PayPal didn't go through or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, run it again because who knows? Maybe it finally went through.
Yeah.
That makes me feel nervous, and it reminds me of like the bad old days when you had a car that wasn't entirely reliable.
Yeah.
And you sit in the car and you start the car and you start driving down the road, and it's like, man, this shit could go weird at any moment. And it's such an unpleasant feeling.
How is that different than now?
Well, you have two reliable cars. What do you mean?
You drive the reliable one.
Yours is incredibly reliable as long as you don't sit in the parking lot at work for an hour and just run the battery the entire time.
I thought that because it was a hybrid that I could do that.
You could not.
Doesn't work that way.
No, you cannot. You drain the incredibly expensive special order battery that's inside the. Yes, it is. It is.
But
not,
it's not like the
it's
hybrid
not the
battery.
Right. It's not the $12,000 battery, but it is the regular car battery that is a special version of itself because it's in a hybrid and therefore it costs extra money. Anyway, I suppose we should talk about the news of the week since I want to have a quick one here tonight. Hey, we were going to podcast last week on Wednesday evening in order to discuss the president's speech to the nation, as Lori likes to call it.
Oh, play the clip.
Man, I don't know if I can find the clip.
I have it.
I'll drop it in. Man, we should just watch old George W. Bush content.
I mean, that's the thing. It's
even the serious stuff. Like, it's just so much more fun than the new stuff. Remember when everybody thought, "No, I'm first."
I got it.
I already got it. It's too late. We got to do some 9/11 content here on the show on Mario Day, as is tradition.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
He really did seem like a dummy. Like I know he's much smarter than he seems.
Face.
But he's
Look
got
at
just
him.
the dumbest
He
fucking
looks like
face.
our little boy.
And so, in my State of the Union, or my speech to the nation, whatever you want to call it, speech to the nation.
He goes on. No, he goes on. It's better.
Oh, is there more?
Yeah.
I asked Americans to give 4,000 hours over the rest of your life of service to America. That's what I asked. I said 4,000 hours.
That was supposed to be an applause line, right?
It said 4,000 hours. Just like, fuck, I'm talking. Keep going. It's fine.
It was such a demonstrably better time to be an American when he was the dumbest motherfucker to ever be the president.
I wonder if people will be
Speech
saying
to the
that
nation,
in 20 years.
whatever. Anyway, I asked Americans to give 4,000 years, 4,000 hours for the rest of their life. I asked
Why are you clapping?
4,000.
Stop.
Like, oh, the president's doing a bit. Let's just laugh.
Anyway, the point of the story here, Speech to the Nation, was last Tuesday, and I hadn't seen the following from Andrew Sullivan, but a day later, Andrew Sullivan summed up my exact reaction to watching what unfolded last Tuesday night. And if I can find the screen cap, I will tell you what that is.
Holy shit, was that a long fucking speech? An hour 40?
Worth noting, Bob was out drinking beers halfway through it.
Yeah.
Didn't get home until halfway
first of
through
all,
it. Okay.
Not halfway through. All right, so we had the draft, right? We have the...
Bob comes home at like 10 o'clock. And
it
he
was
comes
10
in.
o'clock.
When was it? 9:30? I don't know.
9:08 or something. I missed the first 15 minutes of the speech. After.
Oh, no, then we talked about it. You're right. So he comes home and he goes, oh, these guys are so dumb. I got such a good team. And he sits down and he was like, Greg thinks he made out like a bandit. And I just said, not you, though. You're smart.
It was a very good night for Team Bob.
Oh, yeah?
Potentially. We'll see.
We'll see how it goes. I thought I had a good draft. Doesn't matter.
He came home and
Anyway, I wasn't trying to be late for the speech or for anything else, but after the draft, I had to go have a beer with one of the other coaches because sometimes you gotta calm people down. People get a little.
You have to calm people down.
You gotta talk them off the ledge because they had a bad night in the draft room. By which I mean they got literally everything that they wanted, and then one thing that they slightly would have preferred not to have. Like they went in. They had to draft 6 players. They had to draft 6. They had 5 that they were like, gotta have. No way around it. Gotta have these 5 players. They get those 5 players. And then they get stuck with one additional player that they don't particularly want.
You can live with
that.
that.
That was the end of the fucking world. And then we got to go talk about it. Anyway, and then I have the one beer, and I'm literally sitting in this at this bar waiting for 25 minutes for the lady to come by so that I can pay and be on my way. It was annoying.
Was it a busy place? What?
No, it was the opposite problem. It was too slow for them to care.
I see.
It was,
yeah.
Also, when you go with this other coach, you're probably not usually there for just one.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, came home, kissed the kids goodnight, watched the fucking speech, and even as I'm watching it, I'm like, man, I don't want to say anything about this. There's nothing to want to say about it. And then I went back and I watched the beginning, like the first 20 minutes that I missed, and then I read the news coverage on it, and I was like, halfway through Wednesday morning, I was like, let's just not fucking talk about it. And then later that night, I see Andrew Sullivan, who posted, whatever it is that allows one to watch that speech and analyze it in any serious way is something I just don't have. And that is exactly right. Because I watched it, and I didn't know how you're supposed to respond to that with anything approaching seriousness. It was just 2 hours of trolling or attempted trolling or
weird lies
for no reason, and then like the thing that people say about Trump and his State of the Unions or his various speeches to the nations in front of Congress is that they come off like everybody's favorite episode of Oprah, where she's like, "You get a car, you get a car, you get." Right? He's that guy in his State of the Union where he's like, "This kid always wanted to be a fucking cop, so now he's a cop. He's a Secret Service agent. And this kid wanted to go to law school or he wanted to go to the military academy, but he's too much of a dummy and he can't run the mile fast enough. But he gets to go to the military academy. Everybody stand up and clap." So it's very much a stupid reality television thing going on. Also, the same thing that I noticed from the inauguration, where you have to have these things in close proximity to one another, right? And so the Democrats are there and the Republicans are there. And the way he gave that inaugural address was shifted away from Biden so that he managed to give full back and ass to the Democrats behind him while turning to address the audience and the more friendly faces on his side of the aisle. He did that same thing for 2 hours.
Right.
His body was turned away from the Democrats it's not something he does on purpose. Like, it's very much an intuitive sort of thing that's happening there, I think, right? Like, he doesn't plan to do it, but like he literally is turning away from them as he's giving the speech.
Right.
And I have literally nothing else intelligent or remotely interesting to say about that, because it was just an absurdity for 2 hours.
You know, these. And I wonder, by the way, is the naming issue, is there some sort of rule somewhere where if you give an inaugural address, you can't also give a State of the Union address? And that's why they say this is just a whatever, like a speech to the country.
I think it's because it's only been a couple months,
Right.
and the State of the Union isn't your
So he didn't have enough
fault or credit.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's speech to the nation.
Also, there were so
Article 2, Section 3 of the United States Constitution. This section states that the president must give to the Congress information of the State of the Union and recommend policy changes. I don't know why he can't do it a month in.
But they've never, every time a new president comes in, they never call it the State of the Union, and it's probably
they
to
call
like
it
Lori's
the
point.
state
it's
of
like,
state of the speech to the nation.
Yeah, it's like the state of
Speech
the
to the
60
nation.
days, or whatever. And sometimes it's not even in March. Sometimes it's like a few weeks after inauguration. In any event, one thing, this is also an aside, Trump did say America is back. Did he at any point in this hour and 40-minute speech, did he ever say the State of the Union is strong? Because that's usually the reliable... They work that in somewhere. Even if the sky is falling, they're like, no matter the troubles, the State of the Union is strong. I don't think he said that.
I don't think he said that phrase in particular, but it's not a State of the Union.
Yeah.
It's not a State of the Union. It's a speech to the nation.
Yeah, so we'll see you next year. The last thing I'll say is these speeches have become like basically campaign style events, and typically the party out of office.
I don't know if it's fair to say they have become that. This was a campaign event for Donald Trump.
But it's been kind of trending in this direction, very like...
Biden kind of did that.
It's becoming more... Because in the past, it used to be like equal parts, like statesmanship nonsense, and then also partisan stuff that you would kind of throw in. Like you would pepper in some partisan stuff, but you would also do some kumbaya stuff about how...
Well, part of it is that there's nothing left that isn't partisan stuff,
Yes.
right? Like everything is so heavily politicized that it doesn't matter whether Joe Biden wanted it to be a campaign-esque partisan speech or not. The Republicans were going to treat it as such.
Right. But in the past, and I don't have the breakdown in front of me, but I would hazard a guess to say that even though you had a partisan split, right? If it's a Republican president giving that speech, the viewership is going to trend Republican. You'll also have some Democrats tuning in, and vice versa. Like when Biden's giving his speech, the audience will likely be very heavily Democratic, but you'll have some Republicans listening in. I do wonder going forward, there's like no value for the other side.
Well, this was like 70-30 or something that I saw.
But
Democrats didn't watch at all.
Right. But I think it's going to be even worse going forward. What would be the nutritional value for somebody who doesn't support the president to listen, unless you're just like you just like politics and you just want to listen and watch?
Well, I legitimately only do so out of duty.
Right.
And I don't know why I think of it as a duty, but I always have. Like, I never miss a State of the Union or a speech to the nation. And that will maintain. I'm like, I was bummed about it, right? And that's the other reason that I don't want to talk about it, is because like it just made me sad for everything.
Yeah. I mean, I found it amusing that Ben Shapiro was there. So, with Trump, there's always like some weird people that show up to these things, like up in the gallery. But yeah, there's really nothing else besides that you could say with the speech. I mean, he went very long on these human interest kind of stories that they do. I mean, every president does this. Like, hey, this guy got shot, and like, we're going to pass this like law to prevent guns, whatever. Or like, this person is a woman and she got hit by a volleyball, and that's not fair, and we're going to pass a law.
What have you been up to, Abe?
I mean, I think there was like an example where like some woman got...
because some dude smashed her face with a volleyball,
like
so he brought her to the State of the Union.
Like, smacked her with the ball so hard that her face was deformed. I don't know. I was.
Because of the trans thing.
So basically, like, building stories around that, and so like, I think those parts are whatever, right? I mean, every president does that. His was very long. He did so many of those. Like, it was like an hour worth of.
Yeah. The only news that he made was like, yeah, we're probably going to have a bad time here economy-wise because I want to do this tariffs thing that nobody else is into it.
Right.
But I'm super fucking into it. So it's what we're going to do. And then like the tariffs go back and forth and it's like, just do it or don't do it,
right.
man. But like, you don't have any opposition to it within the administration,
right.
even though everybody knows it's wrong and bad.
Right.
Nobody's going to be like, oh, no, we really shouldn't do that. It's bad because they're fucking scared to death to contradict you at this point.
Also, this is his honeymoon still, right? This is still the Trump honeymoon period. So like, you would not have any Republican coming up against him 2 months into this.
Right.
Maybe a year down the road when if everything goes tits up. With the economy, then a year from now, maybe you'll see some pushback. But right now, you have to just kind of defer to whatever Trump wants.
The Marco Rubio moment was worth commenting upon, perhaps, when he's like, yeah, we're going to... Well, because he spends, like... First of all, it's like, we're not going to worry about any of that other bullshit in Europe. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. What we want to worry about here is becoming this a nouveau colonialist American state where we take over Greenland and we make Canada the 51st state. And then we also are going to take back the Panama Canal and then benefit from it financially since we spent the money to build it originally and the blood and treasure and whatnot. And he's like, and that's going to be Marco Rubio's job. So you know just who to shit on if he fails. And Marco has to sit there and just have that goofy smile on his face. Like, yeah, I'm going to get the Panama Canal back, I guess. That's my job. But, like, again, not that... And it was funny watching it. It felt like, to me, it was an exact replica of that photograph of... Mitt Romney at the dinner, getting caught having dinner with Donald Trump after he had talked so much shit about him. Apparently, Mitt was after maybe Secretary of State or who knows what else that they promised that he would be up for if he would just come have this dinner with Trump. And then somebody takes a fucking picture, and Mitt has that very awkward, forced smile on his face. It's like, why am I here? This feels bad. And seeing Marco Rubio having to eat that plate of shit in the same way that Mitt Romney was clearly eating a plate of shit in that moment. It was very similar to me. And Marco publicly has been entirely behind Trump and everything so far. But this is just, like, is it possible that Trump brought him in to handle, as Secretary of State, just to handle, first of all, like, hey, do all the Mexicans. I know not Mexican, but do all that stuff down there. You're that kind of person, right? Yeah. Rubio and Cuban or something. So you take care of that hemisphere down there, and it'll be fine. And also, you got to get us back the Panama Canal, or else you will be a failure. And like, how is that anything but forcing Rubio to endure a humiliation ritual, right? Because it's not going to work. Everybody knows we're not going to get the Panama Canal back, whatever that would mean.
What do you mean you get? What?
Yeah, that's what he wants. He wants to have the Panama Canal.
Didn't he shit on Jimmy Carter? Like, he gave it up for $1, and now,
Speaking of, Abe, the Pope lives.
He's actually getting stronger. What's going on?
Out of the worst of the danger zone, apparently.
What sort of medication is he getting? He's like becoming stronger, which is not what I expected.
What about the Democrats and their clownish behavior there in the room?
It was pretty. I mean, first of all, you had a handful. I don't know how many of them. They had the signs, where it's like you're lying or Elon, or like very not very effective, I would say. And you had the one stunt where like I think it was like he got very uppity Al Green. I think because of the statement that Trump made that he had a mandate. Mandate is a stretch. You won. You swept the swing state, so kudos. But it's not a mandate. But I think that's what Bush, speaking of Bush, that's what he said after he won re-election. He got a mandate and he intended to spend it or something like that. And so Trump kind of said something along those lines. But Al Green. I think I have his name right.
It is. It's always
Yes,
confusing
singer.
because it's not the singer.
Right. But he kept on
yes,
saying,
Al
like,
Green.
you don't have a mandate. And, like,
It was old school. It's like fucking 19th century shit. He's shaking his
Yeah.
cane angrily at the president.
and this is was it the Joe Wilson? Who's the Uli guy? Because it seems like
Joe Wilson, I
the
think. Is right.
outburst started there with Obama. Like, and that was just basically one thing. And then you had Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert being a little obnoxious too. And now this is like the next step up where you are, despite all of the scolding from the speaker, you are not following decorum, and then you're going to be kicked out. And so, like, what's going to be next? What's the next escalation?
It was all so obviously staged was what bothered me. Like Al Green knew walking in exactly what
Right.
he was going to do. And Johnson was prepared. He had the letter of the law there
Right.
to read it so that the formal process could take place so that Al Green could be removed from the chamber.
Right.
It's all just stupid theater, and any of the other stuff with the stupid placards that they were holding, and then the consistent slow trickle of members who would just choose a line to be offended by and just walk out. Right,
Yeah.
There's a slow trickle
Right.
of offended people walking out throughout the evening.
But all of that for just a specific audience, that's like the most rabid of the left. Like, is there some sort of upside? Because
It doesn't do anything for anybody. Nobody thinks it's real. Like it's just for the social media feed.
Right.
Like it's just for, look, we did the thing.
Yeah.
Get all the, like, Occupy Democrats
Right.
is going to
Yeah.
send this out
But-
to 8 million people
Right.
on Facebook or whatever,
Right.
and it's going to do big numbers. But it's not like there's any human being that it's actually. for.
But I suspect that there are a lot of people that did not watch that I'm not going to watch Trump live for blah blah blah, right? Like, and so the only engagement they've had with the address to Congress are these like snippets that they'll see on their feed, right? They're like, oh, somebody's standing up or somebody's doing a thing, and that'll be their entire experience of this event, right? And so maybe there's
Yeah.
some utility for that, for partisan reasons, just to do it that way. It's not good for the whole system, the ecosystem that we're in.
Was Alyssa Slotkin's response the least bad response to a State of the Union or speech to the nation in memory?
I don't have a very good memory. I'm trying to recall the last or any effective post State of the Union or address to Congress speech. Usually, like, those don't go very well. I mean, was it Katie Britt from Alabama last year?
That was a mess.
Was it Rubio with the water or Jindal or somebody? There've been a lot of like moments where the person that comes after. I mean, first of all, the audience is like in front of Congress, all the people, a lot of applause lines, and then you're like in some remote location. Like, I think one guy may have done it in front of like an audience, but most of the time it's just like in this very like quiet setting, and it's like for like 10 minutes, and a lot of the stuff they say.
It's a very tough thing. It's a very, very tough thing to do. I thought this was as good as such a thing can be in terms of clearing that low bar. I thought that if there was an effective Democratic countermeasure to what Trump was up to, it was Alyssa Slotkin, Senator Michigan, seeming incredibly normal, largely speaking,
Right.
and not doing any of the tricks or stunts that her colleagues had engaged in throughout the night. And I thought it was pretty good. And again, not going to do numbers way that Al Green shaking the cane
Right.
or somebody walking out is going to do. But
And also the other thing to consider is like, who is that for? A lot of people, there's some criticism for that approach because people want like a firebrand or somebody to respond in a very like loud way to whatever Trump says in the speech, right? But
he cannot be beaten on that
Right.
level.
That's
He
true,
will
but
never be defeated.
it will not change the opinions of those who want that sort of response. So, like, they're going to be a little upset by that. I assume the people that are for Trump don't care about what, some newly minted senator says. So, like, there's like a very small sliver of the audience who appreciates normal. Like, okay,
Yeah.
just a normal person. But I don't know how many of the people who tuned in cared for that sort of normalcy.
Yeah. The Democrats are in need of some sort of cohesive I mean, I'm reaching for words that aren't leadership, but like someone has to prove that they are at the top of this party. Gavin Newsom is fucking podcasting with Charlie Kirk now, apparently.
Yes, and he's shifting so that he can be more appealing in a 28 campaign, right? I mean, with all of the different stances he's come out with lately, and I think mostly through that podcast, right? I saw a lot of headlines, and they're all sourced to the podcast.
Yeah. Is he a formidable opponent for J.D. Vance? Is J.D. Vance a formidable opponent at all for anyone?
I think the upside for I'm sure all of the politicians, like J.D. Vance and Shapiro and Newsom and all of them, they're thinking this is like as open of a election that we've had in a while. I mean, you have to go back to, I don't know, like 2004, 2008, 2004 probably, right? Like where you could, do something, like try to come out of, like, because there's nobody right now leading the Democrats, and there won't be Trump, right, in 28. So like J.D. Vance likely will get the baggage of Trump without any of the positive charm of Trump, right? So he'll be in a bad situation also, unless things are going so well that he can ride the coattails of a Trump, right? But in all likelihood, it'll be a mixed, resume for Trump, and then nobody really cared for J.D. Vance that much, right? So basically, it'll be an open field. I think Newsom, he's just kind of been there for a while, so I don't know if he will be successful. He'll probably be the front runner initially, and then somebody else needs to come and be a galvanizing force to go over the top. But it's not clear yet who that is. And you would think, I mean, we're about a year and a half away from people starting to announce their candidacy, and you don't have really anybody other than just the names that we've heard of all the time. There's no this person is going to be the guy.
No,
or gal.
Because there's no. First of all, why would you put yourself out there as the thing for Trump to focus on in terms of having an enemy beyond the deep state and the media and all of the rest? Like, I don't know. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to stick your head out at this point in any serious way, probably. But it is frustrating to watch the Chuck Schumers of the world try to. I mean, there are numerous supercuts of Democratic politicians humiliating themselves in front of crowds. It's never a good look when you're standing in front of what is obviously an astroturfed crowd in front of some building, screaming into a microphone about what a nightmare Trump is, while also having a very fun time. Right. Like it's just not a good look. There's nothing fun or enjoyable about that. Right. Anyway, Slotkin was fine, and I guess I am the normal person in America that it was aimed at.
You're the one.
Yeah, it was relatively effective as far as I was concerned, even as I recognized that it didn't matter at all.
Also, it should be noted, and I think we've mentioned this, or I've mentioned this in years past, the shelf life for these speeches is so small. I mean, it's so short. I mean, like 3 days after, like nobody's talking about it. Like it kind of comes and goes, and that's typically because there's some other thing in the news. But like, there's a big thing.
Because we have a president who just goes on TV and is like, "Yeah, we might have a recession today or soon because of this tariff stuff that I'm doing." But whatever, it'll be fine, right? Yeah. Recessions come and go.
And going into the speech last week, I think I was saying I'm interested to see what he has to say about Ukraine, and all that was said there was basically like he read something that Zelensky said, and then he's like, I appreciated that, and then they went back to their usual way by denying them like radar like satellite information and whatnot. But like during the State of the Union, during the speech,
whatever you want to call it,
basically he just kind of read off something that Zelensky said, or he referenced it.
Yeah, because Zelensky had sort of started gesturing in the direction of we need to get back to the table and have these conversations. Yeah. And I think the language...
I need intel or my people are all going to get bombed.
Yeah. I think the language was something like the regretful incident or something that happened in the Oval Office last week without saying that he was sorry. All right. See, this study finds that a happy husband or wife really could be the key to a stress-free life. Your partner's happiness can lower your stress levels. Research shows that when your partner experiences positive emotions, your body produces less cortisol, the primary stress hormone. The effect is even stronger than when you experience positive emotions yourself. Benefits are greater in happy long-term relationships.
Seems pretty straightforward. They looked into that, huh? I mean, you would think if you have, I mean, the stressors in life are what, like your job and your like what you do outside of your job and outside of your job. Like if you have a partner, you're around them all the time. If they're stressing you out, no good. If your job is stressing you out, no good. If you hit those two, easy living, easy living.
I only bring it up to mourn Lori's long-term happiness. That's why I bring that up. Huge number of people admit they'd be cool with their partner hooking up with a robot. This is from the dailystar.co.uk. New survey has shed light on how comfortable people are with AI in their sex lives, and it seems many are willing to let their partners get jiggy with a robot.
I would so much rather you find a person.
You would rather
Yes.
I plow a human,
Yes.
not the 21-year-old in the last episode that we were...
I mean, whatever. Good luck.
The Zip Health poll, probably scientific, aimed to gauge the extent to which people are open to artificial intelligence playing a role in their personal lives. The results indicated a surprisingly high level of acceptance for AI's involvement in everything from diagnosing sexual health issues to substituting human companionship. The findings also highlighted the lengths to which humans are prepared to allow their partners to explore infidelity with a bot.
There was a story not too long ago that this lady was like interacting with a robot and it was like her boyfriend. Like, is this how they mean it? They don't mean like a physical robot, right? Like they have out in the in Japan. This is like a computer chat relationship that they're talking about.
All right, let's see. Key findings included that 3 out of 5 people would trust an AI tool over a doctor to diagnose erectile dysfunction. That seems fine to me.
Yeah. That's fine.
Additionally, 1 in 4 individuals expressed comfort with their partner being intimate with a sex robot modeled after
There you
themselves.
go.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward. Sex robot.
Okay.
No, that's weirder.
That is, yeah.
Find a person, please.
25% of people expressed comfort with their partner being intimate with a sex robot modeled after themselves.
No, that's weirder than that.
That's even weirder, right?
This is people who don't want to have sex with their partners that are just like, yeah, outsource it.
So they're like, tag your it robot. Like, I want to play video games
Yes,
or whatever.
That's who they're talking to.
Imagine you're in a situation, a long-term marriage with the old lady, and she's just done. She's like, look, brother.
Well, she's calling you brother. So.
It's not working anymore. I know. This is what happens with people in long-term situations where they're living together. They lose the thrill of whatever it is that got them going. And she's like, look, man, we're closed around here. We had a pretty decent run. We made those 2 fucking rotten kids. But we're not doing that anymore. That's disgusting. I know it. You know it. But here's the thing. I'm going to let you explore things as necessary. But unfortunately, I'm a jealous person, and I cannot abide that you're going to find human companionship. So instead, let's find you a sex robot.
Right.
And
if they're just like, if they're the ones.
The guy gets excited, and he goes to one of those Japanese websites, and he's picking out the different models, and it's like, it's the 21-year-old model. She's a singer, probably. Has an obnoxious boyfriend, but it's fine. And you've picked out the sex robot from the Japanese people that are going to say it's going to like $9,000 or whatever. Right, yeah. It's too much money, but it's going to be a lot. And then wifey is like looking over your shoulder. She's like, wait a second. That robot is hot. I didn't say anything about it being a hot robot. You have to find the robot that meets these specifications, she says, gesturing at her long gone body, right? It's just, we're going to need the sex robot to look just like me. What a depressing outcome for that man.
Imagine how confused the people who make these sex robots. Like, if you give them, I need these specifications. Like, what's happening here? You got a very particular interest in.
Can we get it? Can we get it to continue to age poorly? Because I'm afraid that in 6 months or so, if things keep going the way things are going, the sex robot that I get is going to be way hotter than the old lady in just a couple of years. So it's going to need to age realistically as well, because I can't be buying one of these every 18 goddamn months. Also, what if the old lady goes on Ozempic and it has newfound pride in her situation, but she's still not? Oh, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's enough.
And you invested $9,000. You can't go back.
Yeah. It revealed that 1 in 4 Gen Z individuals are comfortable with their partner being intimate with a sex robot modeled after them, with men being 69%. Now, this is a joke, right?
It's got to be
69% more at ease with this concept than women. So they're into this is just a cuck thing. The millennials, the youths. This is a generation of people.
We're the millennials. They're the Gen Zs. We're not youths anymore.
This is a generation of people for whom being cucked, they're all into it. I don't know what happened in the culture. That song, what's the famous sing-along they did at Michigan? It's
Mr. Brightside.
Mr. Brightside is just a song about having to watch your girlfriend get plowed.
No,
when you're
knowing that, not having to watch. It's knowing that it's happening.
Oh, no, it's happening. You're there. That's what that song is about. You're being cucked by the chick.
I don't think that that's what that song's about.
Lori, the lyrics. Come on.
Somebody threw a challenge.
I don't know that it's...
Here are the lyrics to this song. Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta be down because I want it all. It started out with a kiss. How did it end up like this? It was only a kiss. It was only a kiss. Now I'm falling asleep and she's calling a cab while he's having a smoke and she's taking a drag. Now they're going to bed and my stomach is sick and it's all in my head. But
He's asleep. He's not there. She's
touching
elsewhere.
his chest now instead of dick now. He takes off her dress now. Let me go and I just can't look. It's killing me. They're taking control. He's watching this guy that they brought home from the bar bang his girlfriend. That's what's happening in that song. And this is an anthem for a generation. These are the fucking loser cucks who are talking about how it's totally fine if the sex robot who looks like me bangs
kink shame
bangs
Bob.
my girlfriend while I watch. Or not. All right, let's go back to this article here. It seems like there's more to mine. Interestingly, the study found that women are 23% more likely than men to perceive it as cheating if their partner is intimate with a sex robot modeled after them. I don't know.
You would be so jealous. Don't even pretend that you wouldn't just be beside yourself with just
If you were banging
jealous.
a me sex robot?
Literally anything.
Is the Bob
right,
robot
let's not-
spouting like takes like during the?
Yeah, 'cause that's what gets the old lady going, is all my takes. That's what does the trick. So it's this sex robot that's been programmed with 10,000 hours of cast iron
Just
brains.
complaining.
Just the worst of my entire
yeah.
personality.
Just every 15 minutes just going, ugh. Or, God damn it. Fucking idiot.
1 in 10 people would trust AI more than their partner's opinion about their sexual performance or health.
Those are two very different
But
things.
aren't you like feeding the robot information for it to spit out an assessment?
It sounds like you're feeding the robot something. All right, that was fine. Texas bill would make identifying as transgender a felony punishable by jail. Let's not talk about that after that.
Too much freedom, I guess.
This is where the horseshoe theory, right, is that eventually two competing ideologies will come back around to the same fucking stupid starting place, right? Essentially. When the crazy leftists are talking about how they're trying to make us illegal, when what you're trying to do is to stop surgery, like gender reassignment surgery on 6-year-olds or 9-year-olds or 11-year-olds. That's not what we're doing. We're not trying to criminalize or make illegal anyone. And then some fucking asshole congressperson in the state of Texas is like, hang on a second. What if we make them illegal?
Right.
It's just great. That's what's good about our fucking democracy. Trump administration, you sent this along. Trump administration drops suit that sought to cut toxic emissions in Cancer Alley.
During the marathon.
Yeah, he was complaining about cancer.
The marathon speech, and these are
longest ever, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if we mentioned that. The longest ever.
A lot of bloat. Maybe they'll trim it going forward. But, he does the, hey, how about this story? Like a late night talk show. And he points to this kid who's going through some terrible cancer, for 6-7 years, right? And he mentions, I think he worked in Bobby Kennedy in at some point where he's like, he's going to sort it out. He's going to make America healthy again. And he's like, did you know that the rates of cancer among children has gone up like a worrisome amount? Like, oh boy, what's up with that? Somebody should look into it. Bobby's going to look into it. And then days later, they're like, fuck all that. I mean, there's a place called Cancer Alley. Let's not look into that. I don't know what's going on there. We'll just become more lax and let the companies do what they will, drawing no connection to those 2 points. It's like the reason why these rates are going up, maybe it has something to do with this. But it's very odd that he's like, something must be done. And then when he has an opportunity to do something about it, it's like, never mind.
Yeah. I have an expert say here from NPR. Headline is, experts warn that recent school shootings show growth in new radicalization patterns. And the only thing that this is talking about is apparently people who are into true crime eventually somehow becoming radicalized, and that this was not previously a path to radicalization as far as anybody knew. But a couple or 3 recent mass or attempted mass shooters who didn't necessarily didn't go full mass were radicalized through spending too much time on true crime forums or something like that.
Really? So they listen or hear or watch some gruesome detail about some victim being victimized by some crazy person, and they identify with the crazy person? They're like, ooh, I want to do that?
Yeah, we watched a documentary once about kids who were obsessed with Columbine.
Yeah. Kids who are into mass shooters. There's this whole bizarre subculture, I think probably started on 4chan. I think it's called the Saints, or they identify these mass shooters as people to aspire to, and the whole goal is to try to rack numbers up and become one of these saints who is killed as a result of their high body count. This is the expert says, quote, "This is sort of the next chapter of what we would call far-right violence looks like at this stage, or what terrorism looks like." I think it's telling that the expert is like, yeah, this is now far-right violence. These idiots who go on the internet and read on true crime forums and get radicalized that way. It's like, I wonder what his politics are if he's identifying the mass killer as far-right, even though there's clearly no political ideology involved here whatsoever. Anyway, that's enough of that. Abe, the fentanyl crisis appears to be fucking over, and it didn't have anything to do with Donald Trump. I'm seeing these numbers, the deaths are down fucking 90%
Really?
in
Well,
some
they
places.
sealed the border, obviously. That's how it works. The fentanyl was getting in, and now it's not.
Has the demand for it gone down, or just the supply has been impacted, disrupted? Do they know which? Are people just done with it, or just did it? Not to sound crass, but did it burn through everybody that was susceptible to it?
They're all dead.
Yeah.
Fewer deaths as drug users adapt and use Narcan. Drug deaths in the U.S. have now dropped from a peak of 114,000 in 2023 to just under 87,000. Still,
that's a big chunk, yeah.
But yeah, it's 30% down or so there overall. In the Kensington neighborhood of Philadelphia, where drug use has long been a widespread public health concern, many people told NPR they believe the situation has improved. That's anecdotal. Who fucking cares, NPR? a lot more people started smoking instead of shooting. And I think that made a difference, said drug user Elena. While still highly risky, research suggests smoking fentanyl is considered safer than injecting. I think people have adjusted. When fentanyl first came out, people were used to shooting heroin. That's why they were dying. You need a lot less fentanyl. One other factor they said is naloxone, also known as Narcan, which is much more widely available now. Medication is used to reverse overdoses. So yeah, combination of the drug folks figuring out that don't shoot it like you shoot heroin, or at least not as much, and then also these corpse reviving drugs, Narcan, that they have out there.
It'll be interesting to see if it continues to trend downward or if it just levels off. This is like the new plateau. It'll just be like in the 80s instead of in the hundreds.
There was that stat. They talked about the amount of fentanyl that had been seized coming across the Canadian border last year, and it was like considerably less than half a pound or something like that. And like Trump is using the fentanyl crisis as justification for his tariffs regime, and it's like it's a completely. I mean, obviously, half a pound of fentanyl is bad, and caveat, but like it's a completely trivial amount that means nothing in the grand scope of things. Right. All right, let's play a little bit of Strassmann. It's now time to play America's favorite game show. Did Mark Strassmann Sr., CBS News... No, screwed it up.
The way you say that sounds like Mark Strassmann Sr. as opposed to Jr.
No, although...
That's what it sounds like you're saying. You're emphasizing senior.
I want to give him his due. He's the senior
Just
national news
pause longer between
correspondent.
Strassmann and senior.
That's what's been holding this segment back from truly breaking through to the wider audience that I seek. Mark Strassmann, senior national news. I disagree. I'm not emphasizing as though, like, who would believe that there could be a senior
Mark Strassmann,
or junior?
Senior. You're saying Mark Strassmann Senior.
I don't know. I think
I
think
do.
it's fine. Mark Strassmann, senior national news correspondent for CBS News, is this week down at the farm.
All right.
And giving new meaning to working your way through school. Mark Strassmann has tonight's Eye on America from Merced, California.
This is Live Oak Farms in California's San Joaquin Valley. 3,000 acres of tomatoes, peppers, almonds, and alfalfa. Carlos Marquez, a quietly ambitious guy, started here 10 years ago as a day laborer. Today, he's the operations manager, while a full-time college student.
Is this your classroom?
This is it right here.
He's in a pilot program funded by a federal grant and offered free to students by Merced College. In its competency-based curriculum, students such as Marquez master vocational skills.
Identify the hydraulic controls.
Right here.
Perfect.
Agriculture is only one area. Others include education and healthcare. It's real life, hands-on, rather than the traditional college classroom experience.
We know that the traditional model can be antiquated in some ways. So what can we do to upskill them, to prepare them for 21st century jobs?
Merced College President Chris Vitelli developed the program for the school.
What to you about the program is innovative?
They come to us, they master a skill, and then they move on to the next one.
You can actually go to school and make money.
You can.
In this program.
You can. I mean, this program is designed so our students can have a part-time job. They can have a full-time job.
With the soaring cost of college, it's probably no surprise more than 40% of full-time students have a job while they're in school. But at a cost. They're roughly 20% less likely to finish their degree.
As a non-traditional college student, Carlos Marquez can work and study, making $1,300 a week. A big help for the 32-year-old father of two.
You get in, get the training, and then you just keep on building from there.
There are now more than 1,000 of these programs at colleges across the country. 82% of them expect the number of those programs to grow.
It's incumbent on us to find ways to meet their needs, not the opposite way around.
Marquez started traditional college when he was 18. He didn't like it and couldn't afford it when his scholarships ran out. Now he can earn an industry-recognized certificate with added fuel to finish.
I'm first generation. being able to accomplish that, get that, and then be an example for my daughters. I mean, that's where it's at.
On a farm or off, that's growth. For Eye on America, Mark Strassmann in Merced, California.
All right, I did Mark Strassmann, senior national news correspondent for CBS News, get off a good one.
The only one that I noticed was just at the tail end. He seems to kind of tag things at the very end, but the substance of the piece, I didn't see any or hear any. Like he said, on a farm or off, that's growth. Like that's the closest thing I could think of. But everything else, just a very straightforward story.
So what are you saying? Is it yes or no?
I'm going to reservedly say he did get off a good one.
Strassmann gets off a good one.
But this is a warning to Strassmann. No more of this. If you just say something at the last second, I'm no longer going to give you any credit. This is the last credit you get. Yes.
I only play this because obviously not that great of one. If he did get one off, you gave him credit, and therefore he won the game. That's why I've just played the thing. Yeah, Strassmann gets off a good one. That's how it works. This is not college.
No.
This is a job training.
Right.
It's not even trade school. He's just working and getting on the job training, and they're calling it college. That's not.
But the program
college
functions through the school, so that's the connective tissue.
Okay, so then they're a temp agency.
They're a trade school.
Yeah. That's not a trade. That's not even. It's
How is
just
it different than what I did?
It's a temp agency saying
How is
you
it
go
different
here.
than what I did?
Because he's at a place learning how.
I was at a place.
You went to beauty school, literally.
Which is a trade school.
Right, but you were not working for a salon.
Yeah, I fucking was.
No, but you also went to the place and took classes and learned to do the things.
They taught me a little, and then most of the day was just waiting for people to wander in wanting to get their hair done for cheap.
I don't see that as the same thing at all. He's working on a farm for some. He's not. Did I miss it? Is that? It's not the University of fucking Georgia where he's working, learning how to operate the machines. It's like a fucking.
I don't know why they're calling it college.
It's a commercial farm where he's
Yeah.
working.
I don't know what the connection. Was it Merced or some school?
Merced, not Merced.
I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it's fucking school property where he's working. I don't know.
Well, it's probably like year 2.
I have to go back and watch this fucking video for the fourth time now.
He probably takes some classroom classes at first.
And he's working full time.
And then goes and does this.
I don't know. Don't call it fucking college. You're just getting training on the job. Go hire people, train them, and pay them money. That's just a job. What are we talking about? This sad sack's paying fucking tuition while he's working at a job. That's a scam.
What I did.
This is an actual scam.
That's what I did. I paid them to work for free.
Anyway.
While they taught me how to do hair, which they didn't.
All right. I got an alert here while we were recording that a Justice Department official says she was fired after opposing restoring Mel Gibson's gun rights.
That's not important.
The Trump administration
just sounds made up. Like that should have been like a whack shit or right. Just like that. What?
That's right. No, it's a headline. New York Times. So this is the administration that has brought Andrew Tate out of Romania on purpose and deposited him in Florida. Andrew Tate.
What is Andrew Tate?
Andrew Tate is a famous misogynist, I think is the best way to describe him.
Why do we care?
An acknowledged rapist, like who...
Sometimes he pops up on my Twitter with people saying, like, this guy sucks. And like, okay.
Oh, no, he really sucks. Like he's
but like, why are we talking about him?
He's captured the imagination of a concerning number of young males. Like, they seem to be into his view.
Then my nice people should not be drawing attention to it.
I mean, your nice people are fucking sex robot wanting sports Twitter people. They're not that nice. They just talk about something that you enjoy. But they're
nice. They're saying he sucks.
It's like a funny. It's the Joe Rogan to Jordan Peterson to Andrew Tate pipeline or something. You can decide where along the pipeline you enter, I suppose. But like Andrew Tate is the bottom of the pipeline in terms of the worst of these men's rights assholes. Where he, literally, I think, was getting underage girls into his employ and as sex workers and putting them on the internet and having sex with them and bragging about it. like one of the worst people that you can imagine. And MAGA, like, and this is where MAGA just completely fucking, like, I just completely, the thread is so completely lost because it's just, well, the mainstream doesn't like this guy.
It's as simple as that.
And so we better be on his side. And so there's somebody inside the Trump administration, and they won't say who, but somebody inside the Trump administration went to bat for Andrew Tate and got him exported from Romania and deposited in Florida. And like Ron DeSantis, to his credit, was like, what are we doing here? We don't want this fucking guy in our state. What are we talking about? But nobody in the Trump administration, as far as I can tell, will take credit for having done it. But somebody at state or somewhere like made this happen, and it's super fucking weird. And that's what it's like. Once we're pulling Andrew Tate out of legal trouble in Romania, all bets are off. Fucking give Mel Gibson his guns back. Who fucking cares? Mel, who has one of the all-time great hidden camera or hidden audio recordings of a blow up against a domestic partner.
Yeah, like was it like his girlfriend or wife? Like he was he was crazy. By the way, you're not exaggerating, Bob, with this. Like, if the people that we don't like the person, we like them no matter what they did. Like, and I think the Sam Bankman-Fried guy is making a go of this, right? The guy who swindled a bunch of people out of their money. He's like, I'm just gonna just say some things praising Trump.
You guys like crypto bros, right? Like you did that fucking fart coin and Trump made $1 billion on it. Like I like crypto. I'm like the lead crypto guy. Help me out. They don't like me because I like crypto and I like you, and that's why they don't like me.
And it's not out of the realm of possibility that it actually works. Like even though like it doesn't make any sense, like people will say, well, that's it. Okay, you're on our side now. Like
it will only take his parents humiliating themselves in front of him for him to get Sam Bankman-Fried a pardon.
Right.
Like it's literally because these are very famous, or in their own circles anyway. I think Stanford or Yale or something, or maybe both. Like I think they're California academics, like Berkeley or Stanford or something. Yeah. But his parents are big time academics. And so, like, for them to go to the president and abjectly humiliate themselves in front of him and talk about how awesome Donald Trump is, can you please get my son home? The poor boy. Like, I suspect that's all it would take to get Sam Bankman-Fried a pardon.
I imagine parents would do that, right? Parents are into their kids, right? They would do that. There was somebody that was helping somebody discard a body. So, like, this is no big thing.
Imagine thinking it's a priority to make sure that Mel Gibson gets his guns back.
Well, maybe it's not a priority because maybe they're just doing, like I said, I think before, like a method of figuring out which task to do first is to do the easiest ones first.
Also, what kind of system?
So it doesn't mean it's a priority.
Yeah, but what kind of system are we getting into now where, like, I'm going to fire enough people until I get to somebody who does the thing that I want, but then I'll say, I didn't do it, like that prosecutor did or whatever, right? But you had to like fire enough people to get to the answer you want.
All right. From the very much not canceled Mel Gibson, who's as prime an example of someone who is not canceled.
Isn't there a second Jesus coming out like soon? Isn't he behind that? Jesus Part 2?
Yeah, they're doing the sequel. Yeah.
Easter is April 20th, if that's what you're talking about.
No, they're making Passion of the Christ 2.
More Passion?
I was making a joke.
I know. It's a good... I can't... Like, what... Have they explained what the fuck they're going to do?
I have no idea. Maybe he's imagining him coming back.
He only sticks around for a little while before he fucks off back to heaven. But like, there's not a lot of drama in the last couple.
Oh, you think it'll just be like
the Crusades
right after where it left off? What if they do like when he comes back, like imagining what happens?
Like
when he's supposed to circle back,
the tribulation, the rapture, and all that stuff.
The rapture, yes.
Circle back, right? Yeah.
I mean, that would be fun. I'd watch the shit out of that.
We're watching whatever it is, and it won't be good.
The time of Jesus on earth after the events of the Passion of the Christ, that's not that fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, a man who's not canceled and in fact made a very silly movie that Abe talked about a couple of months ago with Marky Mark. Headline from the New York Times, I think I shared this with the group chat. A publisher pulled a romance novel after criticism from early readers. The novel Sparrow and Wine by Sophie Lark was due out in April from Bloom Books. Readers with advanced copies criticized passages that they found racist or that praised Elon Musk.
Okay, you had said
Yeah.
that you want to go to bed early.
I do.
So you have to really
This is the last thing.
control yourself. I know it's the last thing, but it could last an hour if you don't be careful.
No, it's fine. It's a very short article. There's not a lot to say about
I know that the article is short.
A forthcoming romance novel by the writer Sophie Lark was pulled by her publisher after drawing criticism from readers over dialogue that some found racist or that praised Elon Musk. The novel, Sparrow and Vine, was due out in April from Bloom Books as the first in a new romance series about a woman who enters a marriage of convenience in order to save her family's winery. Bloom Books will no longer publish the series, a Bloom representative said. Criticism of the book began to build on social media in recent days as readers who had gotten advanced copies posted lines from the novel and blasted it with negative reviews. In one excerpt that outraged readers, a character makes insensitive remarks about undocumented laborers, saying, quote, "Shouldn't there be a crew of people with questionable work visas picking these grapes for us?" End quote. First, I'm breaking from the article now. The cowardice of the writer of that line to not actually be racist in the moment, like that is the most anodyne statement that could still be called racist, right? Like, can you imagine a less offensive version of the expression of that thought?
Right. I mean, if you were trying to write an insensitive character, and this was the line, like, this would be very like bottom of the offense, right? I mean, how else could you characterize it where you still want to get that information out that this person is making a flippant, insensitive remark against people that he thinks are his lesser? Like, how would you write that in a work of fiction? Like, it would have to be.
It's close to like having a guy express it's a cliche probably, but like a guy who throws his trash next to the trash can and then is like, "Well, I'm not going to clean it up because that's what the janitors are for," right? Like, and I'm doing a favor for the janitors, right? Like, and it's sort of a jokey thing, but he's also clearly an asshole. Like it's that level of whatever. All right, now back to the article. In another bit of dialogue that readers took issue with, a character notes, quote, "I was inspired by Elon Musk. I use his 5-step design process," end quote. Musk, the billionaire leader of SpaceX, Tesla, and X, has become an increasingly polarizing figure after throwing his weight behind President Trump and leading an initiative to downsize the federal workforce.
Is that why people don't?
I was inspired by Elon Musk. I use his 5-step design process. Notably, not, I was inspired by Elon Musk. I love that Nazi salute that he did.
Yeah. You know, I do have a question. I'm not a reader of romance novels. Not that there's anything wrong with such books. But is the relationship between the author and the reader different than other types of books? Like, is there this expectation that you're going to give me what I want and no more? Like,
yes, the audience is just babies, Abe. Is what you're describing is a relationship between a baby and the rest of the world.
I mean, not to disparage him like you are, but I mean, it's a weird dynamic to have. Like, hey, I didn't like that. Like, the thing that you said, like, again, these two examples that they cite are pretty tame. Like, an insensitive person saying something insensitive, a dude bro liking Elon Musk. Like, is that like? That seems.
Oh, he's so I'm a lib, but he likes Elon Musk. Oh, it's so transgressive. It turns me on. I don't know what to do with these feelings. Furiously masturbates. And back to the article. In some 1-star reviews of the book on Goodreads, readers slammed the admiring reference to Musk as insensitive in the current political environment. Others questioned why Lark would leave the character's comments unchallenged by others and said they were skeptical that the author didn't realize the lines were offensive. In a statement posted on Instagram on Monday, Lark said she was pausing the series and planned to revise it to, quote, "ensure that my work doesn't contribute to harm," end quote.
Here we go.
Imagine I dare you to imagine the harm. She defended Bloom, which is the publishing house, noting that editors recommended removing the lines that have caused controversy, but that she had opted to keep them. The lines were intended to depict a flawed character, she said. She also said that she wrote the novel in the summer of 2024.
It was a different time, Bob.
And that, quote,
Yeah.
a lot in the world has changed since then, particularly in regard to the fate of immigrants worldwide and certain public figures, end quote. That is the best version of Pop Quiz Hotshot that I have seen yet in the wild. Right? She wrote the novel in the summer of 2024. Pop Quiz Hotshot. What day is it? It's fucking March 10th, 2025.
Okay, so here's where it says flawed character. If I don't read anything and not romance novels, but if I did, I don't want my flawed characters to be flawed in a way that is cringe. And I think that you're onto something with the people furiously masturbating to these books. That is not fodder for that. And that's not why I picked up this book.
That's a different criticism.
Harm. I am harmed.
I know, but if
I was having a nice time, and then that guy said cringe stuff in the book. So now I'm not having any fun when I'm reading this purely for a very specific kind of fun where I don't picture Elon Musk.
And you know, to that point, I mean, again, they're not going to spell it out and say this, but maybe the reader's like, you know what we use these books for? How dare you? You are interrupting our moment and with all the stuff, you know. Like, it's like she knows what she did. We can't say like, hey, this is what we're using it for, but like, this is what we are using it for, and how dare you interrupt my moment?
That's what it is.
I don't think that's it.
I think that's exactly it.
Back to the article. She continued.
You made me think of Elon Musk. You put don't think of an elephant. Like, ew, no. I'm trying to read a romance novel and have a nice time and escape from the current world.
Elon Musk is clearly quite virile. All of those children he has by different women.
Yeah, no one said he wasn't virile. We just don't want to picture him.
She continued, I will also be listening more closely to our sensitivity readers and taking additional steps to educate myself on responsible storytelling. End quote. That is how you convince every right-thinking adult in history to never pick up a book with your name on it. It was unclear whether Lark plans to self-publish the series or find a new publisher. Lark declined to comment. The book's cancellation was reported earlier by The Independent. The blow-up over the book and Bloom's decision to drop the series reflects how politics has infused almost every aspect of culture, even the often escapist world of romance fiction. It's also the latest...
Supposedly escapist, but not when they're like, here's a light racist and Elon Musk.
It's also the latest example of the influence that readers can exert over authors and publishers, and how negative campaigns on social media can torpedo a book before it hits stores. So this is the section, like if you go to semaphore.com and read the news there, they have it divided into chunks where it's like, here's some news, and then it's like, here's Max's take, because Max wrote the article and they do their analysis. Starting there, the blow-up over the book and Bloom's decision to drop the series reflects how politics has infused almost every aspect of culture, even the often escapist world of masturbation fiction. That's the analysis section of this story, and it's completely fucking bonkers because it does not reflect how politics has infused every aspect of culture. It reflects how everyone's a fucking baby. Right. And we treat them as though they're babies, and we give them what they want, and they continue to stay babies forever.
But if your entire audience is filled with babies, you have to cater to those babies, right? So, like, the harm that they're ensuring not happen is the harm to their pocketbook, right? So, like, I'm going to perform this concern, and I'm listening to you, and all this bullshit, and then I'm going to rewrite something else, change it up, and then get back to your spank material, and then we'll be good to go.
There's a growing voice in the culture about complaining about how everything is too spelled out for us. There was an article in the New Yorker this week, I think, talking about stop fucking holding up big signs and saying, here is the good guy and here is the bad guy and here is the moral of the story. And in part, it's because like Netflix is like, you got to make these fucking movies where any fucking dumbass who's only giving 8% of their attention to the screen at any given time will know what is going on and will want to continue, for whatever reason, keeping it on in the background as they do fuck all on their phones. And it's like, this is not art anymore, right? Like, stop fucking just explaining everything to me, show me stuff, and let me figure things out. But no, we're going in the literal opposite direction, where the consumer of the art is demanding that it reflect precisely their vision of the world and nothing else. This is why AI art is it's entirely inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
It is the entire future. And to fight against it is to be a complete fucking fool in all likelihood, because you will have the world reproduced for you as you want it to be and in no other way. The notion of challenging oneself is going to be gone, because why? Why should you ever have to experience cognitive dissonance when instead you can just have the world presented to you in a way that is pleasing to your senses and to your intellect, so-called? Like that is the inevitable future for these people, is that they will just go to the Grok or they will go to the fucking Google Gemini and say, write me a romance novel based on things that won't fucking piss me off.
No surprises publishing, you know? Just like you get exactly what you want and leave happy.
It would be funny if you asked a robot to do that and it came back with like, no, everything pisses you off. We can't do that. It's an impossible request. Sorry, I can't do that right now.
Oh, it would just...
That would be Bob's romance novel.
You know what it would do?
If Bob said, give me something that won't piss me off, it'd be like...
That's how I get the Lori sex robot. That's what it would be. It would just be... That's what it would pop out. It would just be Lori.
I piss you off all the time.
I know, but it's what I'm after, clearly. You've been listening to Cast Iron Brains, a podcast with Bob and Abe. Find the show on Substack, brainiron.substack.com, for more from us, including an extended version of the Billboard Hot 100 game this week, as Abe goes to the concert venue and talks about it. And we play tunes. Brainiron.substack.com is where you can find that. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. The opening and closing themes of the show were composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com. For more from Mark, with whom I shared a YouTube video this week that I also shared with Abe, and I want to play here. All right, this is a video of Quentin Tarantino talking about Paul Thomas Anderson's 21st century masterpiece, There Will Be Blood. And
it's fine.
This is no, it's probably it's certainly a top 5 movie of the 21st century, and that's even though I think it's only the second best movie of the year that it came out. I still have No Country for Old Men just ahead of it. But this is him. I think this was like on some like deep cable channel where they would show movies, and like sort of like on A&E, or not A&E, on AMC, like Scorsese would come on and talk about a movie for 10 minutes before the movie plays. I think this is one of those things, but somebody uploaded it to the internet. And I'm just going to skip to the money part here, which is at about 7 minutes and 10 seconds in, I think. He's just gotten done heaping praise upon Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Talking about, everybody knows this is an astonishing piece of work. The anecdote that Tarantino uses is in typically brilliant fashion. Quentin says, what's amazing about this performance is that, and just go watch the video, I'll make sure there's a link in the show note, brainiron.substack.com, but in the opening scene of the movie, which is that awesome part where he falls down the fucking well and finds the gold, and then he has to drag himself with his broken leg up out of the well. Then they cut to him in the town, right? But there's no fucking taxi cab coming by, right? He had to drag himself by his hands through the fucking desert or wherever the fuck he was to the town. And like, you don't see it. It happens off screen. You cut from the well to the town. But what's amazing about the performance in Tarantino's explanation of it is that you don't need to see Daniel Day-Lewis as Plainview drag himself across the ground, it's fully believable that character did that. And that's his way of complimenting Daniel Day-Lewis's performance, which I find very interesting and very good and smart. Now he turns to a slight criticism that he has of the movie.
If I had of a criticism about the film, it would fall to Paul Dano's performance. Not that performance is bad. There's nothing bad about it. It's just it does seem a compromise. He's just not in the level and the caliber of Daniel Day-Lewis. And if the two characters are meant to be combats throughout the film, then Daniel Day-Lewis is Muhammad Ali and Paul Dano is Jerry Quarry. And it's it is what it is.
That is the cruelest thing I've ever heard a person say about another person, I think.
And it was like a throwaway. Almost he presented it as a throwaway. Oh, by the way, yeah, this other guy, not a bad performance, and then just totally shits on him.
How could you, if you're Paul Dano and you got wind of of that 60 seconds or whatever it is of Quentin Tarantino talk, how could you ever show your face on another movie set again?
No, I would be fine. It's like if I swam really fast and someone was like, well, it wasn't as fast as Michael Phelps.
Right.
I'd be like, yeah. I'm not that. I swam fast for myself, thanks.
What if the person was saying it in the because the context is that
if I raced Michael Phelps,
right, but you would be in the Olympics, right? And you would, and what he's saying is you don't even belong.
It hurt the product somehow.
Right, and that the movie is made worse for Paul Dano's performance, and it's just so mean and and it's so completely unnecessary. And you don't have to do it, but also you're Quentin Tarantino, so you kind of have to do it, right?
And it seems like I don't think he has anything against the guy. So it's also his honest opinion of it, and it's kind of like, what do you do with that? And he had if you look at Tarantino does a lot of great stuff, but that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, all of those young actors that he cast are all now killing it. The Anora actress was in that movie in a bit part. There were some others. He seemed to do very well with casting. So it's he had all the credibility in the world to say that.
Right. That's the thing. If anyone in the world can make this criticism, it is Quentin Tarantino. And it's how could you get out of bed ever again?
Just find a good shrink.
Yeah. Anyway, I sent that to Gillig, and he sent back, it makes me uncomfortable to hear him voice that opinion because I always kind of harbored that opinion but didn't want to acknowledge it, even inside my own head. Which is right. You shouldn't say that about that, because it's a perfectly fine performance. Yeah. But against Daniel Day-Lewis, it's not even in the same class. Anyway, Abe, did you make it to the movies this week?
Yes, I went to the movie twice. Real quick, Last Breath was one of them. This was, you know how they do inspired by true story or by true events, and there's these different categories of what it was based on. This just opened with
truthiness.
This is a true story. I was like, wow, that's pretty bold.
Is this a documentary from 2018? Is what I'm getting here?
It is based on the events from that documentary.
Okay,
so they made it a movie.
Fun.
And so basically, Woody Harrelson's in it. That's the one big name. The story just centered around, I think 12 years ago, whatever, these deep sea divers were out deep sea diving, and then there was a little weather, and one of them, their oxygen thing got stuck somewhere and ran out of oxygen, and for 30 minutes was not breathing. 30 minutes, which I didn't know you could survive.
It's a long time.
In the 30 minutes, the others are trying to rescue the guy, and eventually they do, but he's he looks like he's dead.
So this is one that you can stop the rescue effort after 7 minutes.
That's what I thought.
Unless this is a world-class breath
You
holder.
would think, right? Okay, this is just a recovery mission. Maybe this is a leave no deep sea diver behind. Maybe they have a motto or something, right? So they're let's pick up the dead body. But they, Woody Harrelson gives them
great group of friends. This is just a friend group full of apes and not full of all those other shitheads you hang out with who don't have any loyalty. In them.
The movie, by the way, opens with the guy who's going to be 30 minutes without air talking to his wife, and the wife is like this worrywart, like, oh my God, I hope you come back. And he's like, I'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen? That sort of thing. And this is going to be the guy, right? Like it opens with that, and they go right into the deep sea diving. Anyways, they rescue him. Not only did he survive, but they're thinking, well, brain damage. I mean,
right, this guy's a fucking vegetable, surely.
Nothing. Like there's no physical, mental damage. It's like, and at the end they're like, we don't, like the medical people don't know how this happened. They're like, he just got lucky because like even if you were to survive this improbable 30 minutes, there's going to be lasting damage, and there was no damage whatsoever. And 3 weeks later, that crew went back to deep sea diving. As if nothing happened.
This was a confirmed thing that happened. There's no drama around whether or not this actually happened.
And they cut to they're at their wedding, making jokes about it, and this actually happened. 30 minutes or 29.
Yeah, but they could have all made it up.
It was I'm like, I can't believe somebody can survive for that long. But what do you know? You can. It's a decent movie. It's very quick, 90 minutes. Maybe the documentary is better.
Color me skeptical here, Abe. I don't know that this actually happened.
It literally happened, but apparently there's a documentary. You can check it out.
Would you go deep sea diving?
Never.
Is that
never? I've always said land-based animal, not in the air, not in the water, on land.
Land.
Would you go? Would you do some snorkeling, like where you don't have to you wear the breathing apparatus?
I think I did some snorkeling for like a minute, and I was like, I would rather just kind of float by the water. I don't need to be down there. Like, what's going on down there? Like, I'm good up here. Again, I like to be where I should be. I don't want to be somewhere where I'm not supposed to be.
I'd worry that you would adapt too quickly to life underwater and suddenly find yourself speaking fish.
Let's see what fish like to do on weekends.
It's like, hey, I eat salmon all the time.
This is
the
why
George W. Bush quote. Oh, there's another one to put there.
Which?
I believe people and fish can coexist
peacefully. This is why you can't ever get a cat. You will just become the cat.
Is that right? We'll never test that.
What was the second movie?
The second movie is Mickey 17. This is the director from Parasite, the Oscar-winning movie Parasite. They gave him a bunch of money because of the success from that movie. They're like, do whatever you want. He spent, I guess, way too much money because this movie did not do well financially.
This is Robert Pattinson's
from the Twilight,
vehicle, right?
and the Batman movie. It's actually a pretty decent movie. There were some parts that weren't so great, but the concept is this. The reason why it's Mickey 17, we're in the future, and there's always propaganda against the future. A team of scientists, they developed the human printer. You can just print humans, like exact replicas, like speaking with the sex robot thing earlier. These are exact replicas of you.
Right.
And so people were like, I don't know about this, morally, blah, 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 blah. The problem was that one of the people who invented it or used the technology to be a serial killer because he had a thing against homeless people. And then he would have an airtight alibi. It couldn't have been me. I was somewhere else. But
why doesn't he just kill the fake ones?
I don't know, but he was caught very fast. This was not a very good plan. He spent all that mental brain on creating this very good technology, and then he fucked it up immediately.
All that mental brain.
So that he could fulfill his desire to be a serial killer?
Yeah, they don't explain why he had the thing against serial killers. He wasn't killing anybody else, just serial killers. That's it. Anyways, the whole idea is Pan. They're like, this is outrageous. We can't have this. And some rich guy, played by Ruffalo, who does the whole movie. Mark Ruffalo is doing a John Travolta face. That's the only way I can explain it. For some reason, he just has a John Travolta face the whole time. But he's like, hey, guys, I agree with you. No good on this planet. But what if we do human printing in space? And we can use the who gives a shit replicas as experiments. Like if we need to do something dangerous, just send the replica. And it'll be volunteer only. Only volunteers who wish to sign up to be subjected to just horrible treatment. And, some poor people, this guy, Robert Pattinson's character, he owes a lot of money on the planet, and he's desperate enough to flee. So he signs up to be a test subject. They call them expendables. And so he gets subjected to all of these things. And what happens is that you die. So Mickey 1 died, Mickey 2 died, and the movie picks up where Mickey 17 comes about. Anyways, it kind of plays on the theme of like, what does it mean to be human? Blah 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 blah. It's like an okay movie. They go to some other planet, and these weird insect-like things are like actually like good, and like the humans are like bad, and like a lesson is learned. It's a very like simple kind of story.
We should just have kids as a species. Like this is a movie that says like, because you could tell this story, because it's sort of like you could also understand it in terms of, is it an ethical thing to do to bring life into this world, this fallen world? And is fucking climate change and politics sucks, and there's wars and stuff, and it's going to be a real bummer here for the next couple hundred years maybe. And so like the Utes are all like, I don't want to bring a kid into this world. And now instead of just having that conversation, it's like, no, we're gonna human print copies of yourself. It's like, well, what do you think having fucking kids is exactly?
That is true.
They're not copies of
different.
Ourselves.
They're different, obviously. They're
They're
not
very
exact
different.
copies.
Sometimes you get one good one and one evil one.
But there are these moral issues about subjecting your kids to these things. Like they're just like, oh, this guy's not really human, so fuck him. And there's like the movement of like one body, one soul. So like you can't have more than one, and so people get pissy. But
I bet number 17 doesn't feel that way.
But he did a pretty decent job, Robert. What's his face?
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
I enjoy him. It sounds like a good
Sounds
movie to
fun.
watch on like a fucking Saturday night.
Yeah.
Like turn it on at 9:30.
Yeah, I think it's
It'd be a
just
good time.
it's not going to make back the money not that it should matter, but like he had his one chance to make a big blockbuster. I don't think they're going to give him another blank check situation unless he makes another small budget Oscar movie like Parasite.
Parasite looked real good for a small budget film.
First, play the George W. Bush clip, please.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
That's all I needed. 6 seconds.
Oh, George.
Okay.
I mean, he's not wrong. I don't know why people got upset about that.
People didn't get upset. We watched Severance. We watched.
All right, real
Okay.
quick on Severance. I regret to inform you that Severance might kind of suck.
Oh, come on.
I don't care. Why are they trying to make me care about these people? I don't care.
Look here, spoilers for the most recent episode of Severance, which was like 8, I think, of season 2.
It was 8.
It is so lame when a character turns out to be far more important than they have any reason to be. And like whatever. I like Patricia Arquette. She's a fine actress. This is a mildly interesting character in season 1. But to say that, and Abe, I know you're not watching season 2. Right?
I watched the first 2 episodes. Not too bad,
Look here, that second episode sucked ass. There's no reason to have an entire second episode that is just dedicated to telling you what was going. Whatever. I made my criticism. My criticism stands. There's a couple of good episodes in this season. I'll give it that. But the last 2 episodes, episodes 7 and 8, apparently episode 7 widely well received, and wildly well received. People loved the shit out of it, and then everybody thinks this is the worst episode of the series so far. This 8th one, it's just so fucking lame that you're gonna make Patricia Arquette the inventor of this process, right?
Oh, come on. Really? That's where they're going?
She's a fucking middle manager who was running a floor in the building as like the Michael Scott here. And now all of a sudden she was this fucking brilliant child scientist who invented the whole procedure and didn't get credit for it. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's just so fucking stupid.
Are they hinting at that, or that's what?
That's what happened.
Oh, man, that is terrible.
And Patricia Arquette then hands the proof that she is the person who did this to an insane cult member who is her aunt, who despises her, who is standing in front of a fire. And it's like, gee, I wonder what the aunt is going to do with the proof that Patricia Arquette invented the severance procedure. Is she going to try to throw it into the fire, maybe? It's like, yep, that's what she's going to try to do. It's like, oh, get the fuck out of here. It's a beautifully shot show. It's a beautifully rendered thing. It has a very specific aesthetic that it's going for. And Jerry, I know you love the fucking show. I think it's about that deep. Like it is about an inch and a half deep, and I suspect that is because Ben Stiller is about an inch and a half deep, and I'm blaming Ben Stiller for
He's
it.
the director. He didn't write it, you know.
All right. This is when I listen to him talk about this fucking show, it's like, oh, take one layer off. It's like, yep, that's exactly how deep Ben Stiller is.
That's
Precisely
disappointing
one
that they went in that direction.
I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll
Whatever.
maybe it'll redeem
There's
itself.
a much more important thing to talk about,
All right,
and
yeah.
that is Impossible.
Severance sucked. Also, quickly on the White Lotus. Are you caught up on White Lotus?
Oh yeah, yes. By the way, the worst security guy ever. I'm totally out on that guy. He's just a
I
total
regret
fucking
to
clown.
inform you that the White Lotus season 3 might suck also.
Suck is strong.
You gotta give it a little. They're still in the build-up phase. You know, things are about
There's
to
an
spiral.
This is
lot
where
of
you ask the
fucking-
robot to write you a novel with nothing that pisses you off, and it can't do it for him.
No,
it's about to spiral out of control, Bob. This is the next episode supposed to be the
what's
big one.
the chick who's playing the TV actress who's out
Michelle
with her
Monaghan?
girlfriends? Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah.
Why does this they just go out and they get into hijinks and they get sprayed in the street?
She's on tilt. You know, her much younger, apparently hot boyfriend is probably banging somebody on set, and she
None of this
feels
shit matters.
some kind
I'm
of weird
sorry.
way. And
Season 1 was a strong lightning in a bottle kind of thing. Tremendous characters, well rendered, silly politics. Season 2 was a much better story in terms of the character work they were doing with that fucking foursome couple that they had, and then also the Salieri and his kids, Christopher and Salieri, right? The Italians. That was all very good in terms of the character work. I don't know what the fuck is going on
It's
here.
just pretty much the same playbook,
This is the
isn't it?
decadence of getting a third season when you have no reason to have a third season.
They're really, I mean, it's basically the same playbook as the first two, right? You have the family issue, you know, issues within the guest.
I know.
There's
I
some
just don't. I don't
disdain.
fucking care about the fucking Duke and UNC grad finance guy,
But what if you see his penis?
and I don't care. And the Arnie's kid, Patrick Schwarzenegger, is a fucking meaningless character to me. I don't fucking care. I mean, whatever. I enjoy the aesthetics of the show are fucking wonderful. There are moments that are spectacularly well written. But largely, I don't know what the fuck we're doing here, Mike. Why are we here this third time around? Go do something else. All right, that's my problem with White Lotus. What else did we watch?
Impossible.
Okay, so we were fucking around on Friday night looking for something to put on that didn't matter, and I switched over to
Because Bob was so focused on baseball, we couldn't watch anything with substance.
Google TV free, like whatever there's like these 100 fucking channels that Google TV now has. It's not YouTube TV. You're paying for YouTube TV, but then they have this ad supported.
It's
What do they
like
call it?
that
Fast,
other one.
It's like
free
Tubi,
ad supported.
right? It's like Tubi?
Right. Yeah, it's like Tubi or like any of a number of the other
It's
ones.
just through Google.
But it's just Google, and we found this game show network. They have like
Several.
four or five different game show networks that you can turn on. And it's like this channel was just this game show called Impossible, this British game show, and it's not that great.
What's
Lori
the
likes it.
concept?
We watched it for like 4 hours this weekend.
We sure did.
So
What's the concept of Impossible?
All right, so the concept is that they ask people a multiple choice question, and it's like, which of these SEC football schools have recently won a national title since 2013 or something, and it will say the Florida Gators, the Georgia Bulldogs, or the UCLA Bruins, and you have to buzz in as quickly as possible with what the right answer is, if you can. And so you say Georgia Bulldogs.
Right.
That would be the correct answer.
Right.
And then if you buzzed in and you said Florida Gators, you got it wrong, so you don't get a point,
Right.
but you're not fucked.
Right.
But if you said the UCLA Bruins, you're fucked.
It's
you
impossible.
chose the impossible answer because the UCLA is not in the Southeastern Conference,
Right.
or at least
and they haven't
as
won
of,
a championship.
As of press time, SEC was they weren't there, right?
There's like 10 people that they start with, and everybody's buzzing in with these questions. And if you guess an impossible one, you're out of that round.
Okay.
But it's not like what bothers me about it. It's not impossible. It's just wrong.
Right.
It's just
It's just double wrong.
It's slightly more wrong
Right.
It's
than one of
double
the other
wrong.
ones, but it's not impossible.
It is, but it's fine. It's the name of the show. And then what's crazy is how much American geography these British people know.
Really?
It is impressive because like the category is then
They
you
know
have
like
to
state capitals.
you have to pick a category, and like if you ask the average American to name one other country in the United Kingdom besides like, first of all, could you get England? Right? Like some of them probably. Yeah. Okay. What's a UK country? England,
Yeah.
I think. Right? Yeah, probably. Get to 2.
London.
You'd have you would immediately have problems.
Right.
Yeah.
But these people are like, oh yeah, Boise, Idaho, capital. I knew it. They taught us that.
And they know like Africa.
Okay.
They know geography.
They know the geography.
They
Wow.
just learn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a perfectly enjoyable.
That's what we did this weekend.
Waste of
Besides
time.
talk about Little League.
I always like British game shows more than I like American game shows because, I mean, after watching The Floor, where you have Rob Lowe getting idiots on stage to shout words at the pictures that they're putting up behind them, like
Words of the picture.
goat, sheep, right? It's just the speak and say that you gave your 2-year-old, right? And by 2.5, they were far too advanced for this fucking toy that you gave them. And they turned that into a fucking television show. At least with the British ones, they expect you to fucking know something. And this isn't so crazy as what's the other one that we Quick Connect or something?
Only Connect.
Only Connect.
Only Connect is insane.
Only Connect is like the hardest fucking puzzles that you can imagine. And it's like, how do these people know anything? And you just watch it just sort of like, man, that motherfucker knew that. Like it's not like it's like maybe once a show you can be like, oh, I think I might have known that, but they answered too quickly for me to be sure whether or not I knew that. Whereas this other one is like, yeah, you know most of the answers, generally speaking. But
Unless they're about soccer. I don't know any of the ones about soccer. Proudly.
Is Impossible like a recent airing, or is this like some from like the 90s or something? Is it like?
no, they're relatively recent.
They're current.
I think it's current. Yeah.
It's just impossible. Well, and we watched that baseball thing on the Disney Plus, but it wasn't very good.
Oh yeah, there's
it's fine. It's whatever.
It's called Win or
Lose.
I think. Yeah, Win or Lose is the name of the program.
It's for kids. It's fine.
It's very much for children. Not a whole lot in it that speaks to the adult audience either.
But we're so busy with baseball now, so.
Yeah, lots of baseball. I don't know. Do I want to say anything about the baseball situation?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe say goodbye and then chit chat for a minute and see.
That's fair. All right. Hey, but have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
I guess that's all we've got for you tonight then, and we will talk to you next time.
Later.
And one of the things that I've used on the Google is to pull up maps.
Any movement on forcing you back to the office?
Oh yeah, we're back in the office. Yeah.
You're just back in the office every day.
Yeah. We're back in the office. Yeah.
What time is what's call?
Are you okay?
What's call time?
7:30 is when we start. So I literally like live like 2 miles from the office. So like I walk back. You know, whenever I leave, I just walk home. On the way there, I just take there's a bus that takes you right there. So I just take the bus because I don't want to walk in the morning.
These poor people who have been home and have to go back to work. I hope everybody's okay.
I know, but there's it's a big change to go from fucking once a week in the office to 5 days a week in the office.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, that's what we were doing for all those years. It's not like a big, I don't know why people, I think there are some people who have slowly left the metro Atlanta area. Like one person I know lives like
that's the problem.
an exit or two away from Alabama, like inside of Georgia.
Jesus.
And so like those commutes must suck.
Yeah, bought a nice big house fucking 4 hours outside of the city.
Yeah, and so it must suck for them, but for me, easy living.
Right.
And now, finally, I get to have use of a printer because, you know, I can't print anything because I don't have an approved printer at home, but nice color printers now, I can just print away.
What did you do?
Sounds like waste, fraud, and abuse
what did
to
you
me.
do last week?
don't be allowed
I
that.
printed wantonly for the first time in years.
That's why I'm a print. I like to print things and write, you know, so I'm going to print my stuff, my team meeting notes, instead of looking at some screen. That'd be nice.
Well, that's good. I weep for your YouTube TV storage space, with all the CBS News that's going to build up.
That's right. There's always the weekend.
Like, to put my fucking title at the end of the email is an act of humiliation for me, right? I hate it because I don't like what might be called to mind in the mind of the person who's reading that fucking email. Which the only appropriate response to that is, right? Like the only appropriate response to getting to the email kicker, the signature line, it says my name and then Monticello Little League Vice President, is to go, right? Like, it's the only thing that you can say when somebody tells you that they're the vice president of a fucking Little League.
We don't have a beef with Muslims.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.